Hello and good evening to Strive Dialogue. I am your host, Brigadier Rakesh Bhatia. आज एक बार फिर हमने कल अजय रैना सेना मेडल को अपने स्ट्राइव डायलॉग में इनवाइट किया है। कुछ दिन पहले हमने एक सेशन इनके साथ किया था ऑन पाकिस्तान नरेटिव्स एंड उसके बड़े अच्छे रिव्यूज हमको हमारे ऑडियंस से मिले एंड ऑन देयर पॉपुलर रिक्वेस्ट अजय we are inviting you once again and I'm sure आज की भी हमारी बातचीत उतनी ही इंटरेस्टिंग होगी जितनी की पहले हुई थी।
Thank you, sir. Good evening to you and good evening to everybody, sir. Nice to be here.
वेलकम अजय। अजय, आज हम बात करेंगे गिलगिट बाल्टिस्तान की। गिलगिट बाल्टिस्तान का जो नरेटिव है, मैं कुछ पाकिस्तान ऑथर्स की किताब पढ़ी और उसके बाद मैंने आपकी एक किताब पढ़ी ऑन दिस सब्जेक्ट। इट वाज ट्रेचरी एंड गैलेंट्री, गिलगिट बाल्टिस्तान लद्दाख 1947-48। तो मेरे को एक बहुत डिफरेंट पर्सपेक्टिव पता लगा गिलगिट बाल्टिस्तान का और मेरे को खुद को इसलिए खराब लग रहा था कि अभी तक मैं वही नरेटिव सोच के बैठा था जो कि पाकिस्तान के ऑथर्स ने दिया है और किसी वजह से हम इस चीज में थोड़ा पीछे रह गए अपने ही बारे में बताने के लिए। जब मैंने आपकी किताब पढ़ी और मेरी आपसे बातचीत हुई तो आई रियलाइज्ड कि ये नरेटिव शायद कुछ डिफरेंट था। पाकिस्तान इसको इंडिजिनस वॉर ऑफ लिबरेशन कहते हैं, लेकिन ये एक विश्वासघात था जो महाराजा हरि सिंह के साथ ब्रिटिशर्स ने पाकिस्तानियों के साथ मिलकर किया। उसमें जो प्लेयर्स थे वो थे मेजर विलियम ब्राउन जो कि गिलगिट स्काउट्स के कमांडेंट थे और कैप्टन मिर्जा हसन खान जो कि स्टेट फोर्स में थे। ये इसमें मेन एक्टर थे। अब गिलगिट किस लिए इंपॉर्टेंट था? वेरी ब्रीफली, गिलगिट जो है वो ईस्ट एशिया, सेंट्रल एशिया और साउथ एशिया के बीच में पड़ता है। इसका मॉस्को से जितना डिस्टेंस है गिलगिट का, उतना ही डिस्टेंस गिलगिट का कन्याकुमारी के साथ है। तजाकिस्तान इधर से 25 किलोमीटर है। गिलगिट से ईरान का जो बॉर्डर है वो करीब करीब उतना ही है जितना कि गिलगिट से नई दिल्ली का डिस्टेंस है। और another very interesting thing I read, this is the only place जहां पर गिलगिट के आसपास इतनी पीक्स हैं कि 11 जो है 18,000 से 20,000 फीट ऊंची हैं, 7 20,000 से 22,000, 6 22,000 से 24,000 और 8 चोटियां ऐसी हैं जो 24,000 से 26,000 फीट तक हैं। और ये सब कुछ गिलगिट के 56 मील के अंदर है, के दायरे के अंदर ही इतनी बड़ी बड़ी चोटियां। अब आप और मैं जानते हैं कि जितनी हाइट्स होंगी उसकी डिफेंसिबिलिटी उतनी ज्यादा होती है। तो उस हिसाब से ये गिलगिट बहुत स्ट्रेटेजिकली बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट था और इसको बोला जाता था नॉर्दर्न गेट ऑफ इंडिया। अब ये जो गेम यहां पे खेला गया इसको हम लोग कहते हैं द ग्रेट गेम। द ब्रिटिशर्स कॉल्ड इट ग्रेट गेम, जिसका टर्म जो है ये रुडयार्ड किपलिंग की जो किताब थी किम, उससे ये ग्रेट गेम लिया। और ये ग्रेट गेम खेला गया ब्रिटिश और रशियंस के बीच, और रशियंस इसको कहते हैं टूर्नामेंट ऑफ शैडोज। अजय, आई विल रिक्वेस्ट यू कि आप हमको बताएं कि गिलगिट बाल्टिस्तान में क्या हुआ। पाकिस्तानी इसको एक रिबेलियन कहते हैं कि वहां के लोग जो हैं वो महाराजा के अगेंस्ट हो गए, जबकि हमको पता है कि वो रिबेलियन नहीं थी, वो एक इंस्टिगेट की गई थी, इसको एक चिंगारी दी गई थी। असल में क्या हुआ था गिलगिट बाल्टिस्तान में? आपसे मेरा ये रिक्वेस्ट है कि आप थोड़ा सा ग्रेट गेम के बारे में बता के और फिर आप हमको गिलगिट बाल्टिस्तान में 1947-48 में क्या हुआ था इसके बारे में बताएं। वेलकम अजय।
Thank you, sir. Once again, good evening to everybody, sir. Sir, great game. Yes, Kipling, of course, romanticized the thing, but 1840, sir, एक बड़ा ही happening time था, sir, in our subcontinent around us. if you go back to those days, you'll see that, of course, great game started during 1840s. 1830s mein sir, actually Britishers, what they started doing, they started looking towards north for the first time. Before attention of institute called East India Company looking that side, उससे पहले एक दो expedition गए थे which are basically trade missions. So the 1782 Forster took a kind of a trade mission. Moorcroft went in 1822 looking for horses which he never found and got killed on his way back. Then Vigne in 1834, who also did some part of his playing with the Raja Ahmad Shah of Skardu, who was trying to reach out to British कि मुझे रंजीत सिंह से बचाओ. तो वो सब गेम चल रही थी सर. तो उस टाइम में कुछ और चीज़ें हो रही थी. जनरल जोरावर सिंह हैड रीच्ड टिबेट 41. उससे पहले 40 में वो बल्तिस्तान एंटर करके ही हैड टेकन स्कारदू एंड he had put a siege around Astor, which is to the west of Skardu and southeast of Gilgit. And then he was recalled because Kashmir का जो गवर्नर था, सिख एम्पायर का गवर्नर कर्नल मिहान सिंह, he saw his area of influence getting reduced, and this used to be route linking up with the trade route, Silk route, route going through via Gilgit and beyond, right, Yarkand and Bukhara. So he requested Maharaja Ranjit Singh. So Maharaja Ranjit Singh told Raja Gulab Singh, and he was called back. That was also a time when first Opium War was happening, sir, in China between British and so this or Anglo-Sikh wars, which happened soon after Anglo-Afghan War. So this was a very happening time. This was happening inside subcontinent. So while all this was happening, hats off to Britishers, sir. हम तो एक चीज पे stuck हो जाते हैं. Despite all this happening in the neighborhood and within subcontinent boundaries, they were looking towards north, and they said, okay, we'll now have a trade route opening to Bukhara. Now, trade route का एक relevance ये था उस time पे, sir. Moment you declare a alignment कि this is going to be a trade route, so while that territory may not belong to you, but that route belongs to you. Correct. So if somebody comes and interferes in that route, that used to be taken as a transgression. So it was basically a message to Russians कि भाई हमने अभी बुखारा तक हमने ट्रेड करना, ब्रिटिशर्स ने अनाउंस कर दिया, एंड दे इंस्टिगेटेड रशियंस एक्चुअली. फिर एक याकूब खान करके बड़ा एक कशगर है सर, विच इज जिनगियांग का पार्ट, उसका रूलर था. He thought he'll play his own games. He also reached out to British. All these guys were trying to reach out to British in spite of the fact that जो आपने mountains बताई हैं, this was basically a formidable wall protecting subcontinent from the north. Correct. So this guy sent his men to Calcutta and asked British to come and join hands with me. So as this 1870, so at 73 में Russians said enough is enough. उससे पहले ना सर ये जो doubt था कि Russians are planning to reach Persian Gulf, they're eyeing oil fields of Persia, that Iran and west of it. ये doubt ही था. लेकिन by 1870s, Britishers and Russian being big powers, they had started negotiation. तो Tsar and King का crown का relationship भी था सर. 1873 में Tsar sent a message to London saying, no, don't worry, we mean no harm to you. We are just consolidating our own thing. And they reached Khiva. Now, Khiva is a place east of Ural Sea. उसके ऊपर कजाकिस्तान है, east में उज्बेकिस्तान है, and down below is Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, which is third country there, sir. This was Turkmenistan. So they 1873 reached Khiva. Now British was saying, you are saying we mean no harm. Now you reached Khiva. Abhi dekhoge se like, so nice of you drew all those distances and calculated. Khiva is pretty far. But then big powers who had global ambition even that time, whatever part of globe was known, they also used to have that kind of a foresight that one day they'll be having issues with British. So ये जो आपने quote दिखाया था ना sir, so many mountains, so many. This is given by Captain Bidulup.
Captain Bidulup, who was the political agent there,
Yes, later on, sir. So 1873 में Colonel Gordon and this guy, they were sent again by British in guise of a trade mission with instruction to go and do recce. So what these people actually did, sir, they hired locals, paid them money, and got a map made. This was unmapped country, sir, till 1870. And they came back saying by ऐसा कि there are two very important passes. Sir, if you see from Pamir Knot का एक नक्शा हम दिखाएंगे, sir, or we can just show those slides. I'll give that, sir, so that all of us are on the same grid, sir.
Yeah.
So this is J&K. So here we can see is a Gilgit-Baltistan जिसको हम
You
बोलते
want,
हैं sir.
if you want
So
the
this is
ranges, we can.
this I think most of our audience will know. This is a very basic map showing Xinjiang on the north and northwest frontier province. But Gilgit यहाँ लिखा है उसके west में, northwest में it was Afghanistan directly. चित्राल left में था नीचे की तरफ, west की तरफ. So this is overall layout of our
That's the
princely state.
Wakhan corridor of.
Wakhan corridor वो उसमें आएगा sir I think next उसमें. Next one please. So this is चित्राल के ऊपर. Okay. This is the previous one please sir. Previous one. Okay. So these are just landmarks. Sir. We must know where is Sechin Glacier, where is Sakhsgam Valley, because all these things will come in during discussion. Gilgit-Baltistan, that chunk. This Indu, Kohistan, Chitral, these were not part of Gilgit-Baltistan. These people used to pay tribute to Maharaja of Jammu and Kashmir. They were not part of Jammu and Kashmir state. This we must know. And like I said, 1840 में जोरावर को रोक लिया था sir. But thereafter, when Raja Gulab Singh became Maharaja of Jammu and Kashmir in 1846, and then his son Ranveer Singh, uske time pe by 1860 whole Gilgit-Baltistan had been taken by J&K princely state. So 1860 का जो नक्शा है उसमें Gilgit-Baltistan is part of Jammu and Kashmir. उससे पहले सर विद्रोह होता रहा, लेते थे फिर मरते थे. Lot of people were lost there. So to cut the story short, sir, the Russian intent of hitting that ambition to reach Persian Gulf was never proved actually on ground. But 1907 में ये हुआ सर कि Russians lost war to Japanese over Korea and Manchurian. So they also tasted a bit of bitter medicine. So in 1907 में British and Russians sat together and they said enough is enough. आप ऊपर से नीचे आ रहे हो, हम नीचे से ऊपर जा रहे हैं. Because when Russians were coming down, what British were doing, they were basically getting into Afghanistan. Yeah. They were trying to conquer Afghanistan. First war, second war, they couldn't do anything. And they also started fingering J&K Maharaja in the sense that initially, when Bidulpur came back, sir, this Colonel Gordon and Bidulpur came back, they said there are two passes, Ishkoman. Ishkoman is to the northwest of Gilgit, sir. And there's another pass, old age catching up, sir. I kind of forget names. Borogil. So Borogil Pass, they said these two passes, if Russians want, and they cross these passes, artillery can be crossed, and in 10 to 12 days, Russians can reach Punjab. So this was the assessment, and they said Britishers must now take care of that area, which is very, very important, because if ever Russians were to come and finger us in subcontinent, this is a route. So uske baad, sir, Britishers started showing interest. They told Maharaja Gulab Singh that we will place officer on special duty in Jammu and Kashmir, because tourists were coming in Jammu and Kashmir. Kashmir was a favorite spot even in 19th century. Maharaja Gulab Singh said no. But then they came with a clause ki, okay, any offense or crime being committed by a Britisher or non-Indian or any European inside Jammu and Kashmir cannot be tried by the inferior people, Indians. So we need our own officer to be there to tackle crimes and all. So OSD was allowed for tourist season, the 3-4 months per year in year. When he died and Maharaja Gulab Singh died and Maharaja Ranveer Singh, his son, took over. And he also sided with, along with Sikhs, Gurkhas and Dogras, all of them sided with British in 1857. So they had good ties. So resident came in. And that OSD now came for a longer time. When his son, Maharaja Pratap Singh, who was supposed to be a very decent guy, sir, when he came Maharaja in 1885, so British wanted some game that time being played. So that settlement was that you'll be Maharaja, but now you will have a resident in Kashmir. 4 years later, 1889, they told Maharaja, you are incompetent, carry on, you're sacked. So first center rule, like we mentioned last conversation, sir, in J&K was imposed in 1889. And that was the time when they sent a political officer, same Bidulup, to Gilgit as political officer, first political officer. 4 years he was there, but arrangement was not good. He went as a political officer, but there was a governor who belonged to J&K state. The army belonged to J&K state. So there was a lot of clash. So the Gilgit agency, so-called Gilgit agency, first agency was closed and pulled back. No, I'm sorry. So this happened in 79 during Maharaja Ranveer Singh's time. When Pratap Singh came, they established a full-fledged agency, which next map, I'll request, sir, which we get confused at times. Gilgit agency kaun si hai aur Gilgit kitna bada hai, the next map. Yeah. So this shaded area, sir, if you see in the middle of shaded area, Indus River is going up from southeast, going northwest, and then coming down again. So anything and everything across Indus River was Gilgit agency. But then there were parts of Gilgit which were also on the other southern side of Indus. So this was called Gilgit Wazarat. So when Britishers took Gilgit Agency in 1935 for 60 years lease from J&K government, Maharaja of Jammu and Kashmir, Gilgit Wazarat remained with the state, and Gilgit Agency was totally and absolutely ruled by British. In between, what they did when they established Gilgit Agency in 1889, sir, they raised Gilgit Scouts. And Gilgit Scouts, then Tochi Scouts, Chitral Scouts. In all these areas, they raised different scouts, claiming that it should be local people should be empowered, and the ruler being a Hindu, and and this population there, north of Indus, was basically Shia Muslims. They were Buddhist, all of them. 14th century, all of them converted into Shia. And Sunni belt started the rail. When you see on the maps, the rail and south of that was Sunni belt. Chitral had Shias, Sunnis, and they had Kalish people who even exist today. Only 300
Alexander के time के थे.
Yeah, we can say that, sir.
Okay.
They're very good people. They have their own rituals. So this was a layout of as we look at Gilgit agencies. So after the Japanese defeat, Russian suffered defeat. 1907, they settled down once for all, saying, okay, we will not come south of central Iran, that time called Persia. That is Tehran and above was area of influence identified for Russians. Tehran to Bandar Abbas area was left as the independent area, neither under the influence of Russians nor under influence of British. And Bandar Abbas and southwards, including Afghanistan, then Tibet, because Tibet, if you see, this is happening in 1907. Usse pehle young husband had already gone to Tibet and carried out massacre in 1903. Then Lhasa Convention was done. So 1907 convention said British will have this, and the Bandar Abbas and Tehran ke beech ki jo belt hai, this will be neutral zone. With the and then they said, okay, you can also have area of influence in Afghanistan, but you will not attack Afghanistan. So Britishers gave a commitment that we will only look after foreign affairs. So this is how Great Game, it didn't end actually, sir. Supposed to have ended. It carries on even today. If you look at Great Game, is never ended. It is 12 years later, sir, 1919, Britishers, they wrote a paper saying that we should have not given J&K to Maharaja Gulab Singh for 75 lakh rupees. We had done a mistake, and it should be undone. Now, this could not be undone. A reason for that was when they sacked Maharaja Pratap Singh in 1889, sir, they had a council of, they created a council to govern the state, Jammu and Kashmir. And allegation on Maharaja Pratap Singh was that he was in contact with Russians. As Allah could have it, when he was being sacked, that time Raja Dalip Singh, who was the successor of Maharaja Ranjit Singh, he was actually sitting in Russia, shaking hands with Russians. So Britishers gave this bahana ki he's in Russia, Punjabis are in Russia, you guys also, there are people coming and meeting you, so we need to sack you. And 1905, by that time, they had decided to take back Jammu and Kashmir by sacking Maharaja Pratap. Somebody wrote an article in Amrit Bazaar Patrika in Calcutta, some British journalist, he said this is the plan. And when this became public, so these very righteous, self-righteous British people, they had a lot of hangama in British Parliament. They said, how can you do something like this when you have signed a treaty, you've taken money, you can't take it back. So 1905, Maharaja Pratap Singh was reinstated.
Yes.
And then the state came under him. Now, while he was reinstated, sir, arrangement was even then. There was you would have heard of a concept of imperial troops. So princely states had this assurance given by British government that no princely state will attack another princely state. So princely states are not supposed to maintain very big armies. They were just supposed to have ceremonial army, but there was a minimum quota kept told to them in case there's a world war, if British want it, so they will give so many troops to that to fight for British. So those are imperial troops, basically native troops, but supposed to be fighting under British banner as and when required. Now, J&K was the largest princely state in terms of geography. Hyderabad was, population-wise, Hyderabad was bigger. So we had good amount of troops in Gilgit, because Gilgit was a restive region, sir. You had Hunja springing a rebellion. Chitral always had issues with J&K and British. So this arrangement, while they raised Gilgit scouts, they did everything else, but British wanted absolute control over Gilgit. Now, 1925, when Maharaja Hari Singh became ruler of J&K. Now he was not supposed to become. He was not son of Maharaja Pratap Singh. Maharaja Pratap Singh was childless.
Yeah.
He had adopted son of Maharaja Punch, because Maharaja Punch and Maharaja Jammu, they were cousins.
Yeah.
And Governor General of Viceroy of India had given sanction. He came hunting to this Pir ki gali, sir, jahan pe aaj road bana.
Achha.
Yahan this Viceroy was camping, and Maharaja went to look him up, looked after his interest, and then he said, "This is my request. I want to adopt him." He said, "Okay." So that Yuvraj was brought to Jammu. 16 years he remained in Jammu. He actually carried out the cremation when Maharaja Pratap Singh died. But by that time, British had thought that no, we'll have our own man. No, Maharaja Hari Singh was Western educated, Mayo College product, and he could speak good English. He was also very close to Mountbatten, because Mountbatten had come along with the king, George. And this guy, Maharaja Hari Singh, was one of many princes who were also part of that gang. But they didn't know that he's a hard nut to crack.
Yeah.
So he took over in 1925, and he refused. He said, "I'll not give you Gilgit-Baltistan the way you want it, independent." So they said, okay. So they sorted him out in a sense, because 1930 he went to Britain, made a statement in front of King George that we want independence. I'm a Maharaja, but
During the round table
Yes.
conference.
So he became like Britishers got after him. So 1931, that famous riots of the Srinagar jail and show called Shahidi Divas, which is now been stopped. That thing was organized by British using Sheikh Abdullah, basically to put pressure on him. And so in 1935, he said, "Yeah, le jao." So this is what he gave them: Gilgit agency to the north of Indus River, and now Gilgit, they had no check. At this point, what Britishers did, sir, they formed something called Tucker's Committee. So Tucker Committee, the long-term ambition was to grab this real estate. And the 1919 thing, which I am saying, that 1919 British had decided that J&K should not have given. They also took a decision to do partition of India, sir. Now this is something very interesting. People generally say, okay, wo wahan se utha, wo Aligarh Muslim University se ye hua, wo, sir. It was all fallout of that 1919 thing, when they actually started thinking that this India needs to be partitioned, because to have access into Central Asia through Pamir, sir, they had a hurdle called Afghanistan. If you look at the map of Jammu and Kashmir, अगर गिलगित बल्तिस्तान इंडिया के पास पूरे का पूरा आ जाता, पूरी स्टेट आ जाती, सर, then Pakistan से they couldn't have reached Central Asia, nor वो जो आज कराकोरम हाईवे बन के आ रहा पाकिस्तान का अजय चाइना से, even that couldn't have been possible, because बीच में गिलगित है. So they, of course, they were not thinking of highway, but they were thinking of fighting World War III in around Pamirs with Russia. And another thing which happened after World War II, sir, when Americans did nuclear attack on Japanese, so Americans and British, before World War II, in fact, they signed an agreement called Hyde Park Agreement, which remained secret for 60, 70 years and now been declassified. As per, they took a pledge that no third country should be allowed to have nuclear weapon in the world.
Yes.
So only America will have it, and even UK will not have it. UK will be covered by American umbrella. Now, Russia being Russia, why he was coming down, the actual intent was Xinjiang had uranium, which could be enriched. So Russia had come and taken the whole area north of Gilgit Agency on lease from Xinjiang, and they were mining uranium. The nearest that nuclear lab or whatever testing lab which they had was about few hundred kilometers inside Xinjiang, and the closest British could reach was Gilgit, because beyond that there was no area of influence. Now, World War II actually meant America going up and UK coming under a lot of debt. So UK became ally of उल्टा हो गया वो एकदम. So वहाँ एक कर्नल बैकन था, सर, गिलगित एजेंसी का जो पॉलिटिकल ऑफिसर था. Colonel Bacon was given task of establishing seismic centers along Pamirs in Gilgit. And those seismic centers were basically to observe any activity happening because of nuclear blast, because they couldn't fly their aircraft on top, they couldn't catch radiations. So this was this thing was remained activated right till 1847. And this was one interest they didn't want to leave Gilgit. One was fighting Russia future. Second was they were monitoring Russia sitting in Gilgit, because closer than that they couldn't go to that side. So Gilgit was very vital for British. Now, why are they saying what you said? This was independence, self-motivated panga. This was pure British effort. Unlike Operation Gulmarg in 47, which affected Poonch and Kashmir. there was not a single Pakistani soul present when Gilgit was snatched from India. So
Yes.
the chronology is that as it was decided by the British to leave India, so 1st of August, Brigadier Gansar Singh, who had just been superseded, he's sent to a disgruntled man. Actually, he's not happy because he was senior to Brigadier Jindra Singh, who became
Yeah.
chief of staff. So he's sent there. Mr. R.C. Kak, whose grandson had just released a book trying to say that he was a very noble man. His wife was British. So ये सारा ना सर एक when it comes to their national interest, strategic interest, they have no love lost for anybody. So her involvement is also now coming out slowly, though not established. So Mr. Kak sent him to the Prime Minister sends him to Gilgit and gives him no financial powers, gives him no powers at all. और वहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है सर? Since it is a Muslim dominated area, these guys have opted to go, all the staff members there, whether they were revenue officials or clerks, administrator, whatever, these people have already decided to go to Pakistan. They say will not work for India. Now Pakistan is not even aware because that area is so cut off. Beach mein Great Himalayan Range hai, sir. The route, when I explain the routes, if you were to travel from Gilgit to Peshawar, sir, you have to come to the Mardan area. Again, very remote, few passes, Babusar Pass and all. Or if you came south via Chilas, then you come to the famous Balakot, where we had our airstrikes, and then Abbottabad. So it was a very rough, it was basically isolated place.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with Northwest Frontier Province or these people. Because of Great Himalayan Range, and Nangapur was standing in between.
Yeah.
And like you said, there were so many peaks. K2
Yes.
is the most famous.
Most famous, yeah.
So I was talking of Tucker Committee. The Britishers ने एक गेम खेली सर. उन्होंने कहा कि 1940s में, just for World War II, when World War II was on, they said we'll have review the deployment of our armed troops in frontier and beyond northern boundary, and they came up with a recommendation that all regular troops should be withdrawn, including imperial troops, from these places where people are very sensitive, and the troops should only be scouts and local, not militia, what do you call it, the locally listed troops. So this was a ploy to make sure that all non-Muslim troops, in very harsh words, I would say that all non-Muslim troops were pulled out of the complete belt of Gilgit-Baltistan, Tochi, Chitral. And now they were supposed to look after themselves. And this is when comes Major Brown.
Yeah.
टक्कर कमेटी की रिकमेंडेशन के आते ही सर इम्प्लीमेंट कर दी गई. देयर वाज नो कंसिडरेशन, नो टाइम टेकन जो होता है यूजुअल, नथिंग. इट वाज जस्ट इम्प्लीमेंटेड बिकॉज़ दे ऑलरेडी न्यू व्हाट दे नीडेड टू डू. Now this Major Brown had served as one of the officers in Gilgit Scouts earlier as a captain. That point of time he was serving in Tochi Scouts. Another character comes into play now is Mr. Cunningham, the governor of Northwest Frontier Province. He had done 2 tenures of governor in NWFP. On Jinnah's request, he was called back. Now, Cunningham was Churchill's man. Ismay, who was military advisor to Churchill, when Churchill was Prime Minister, he had come to India as Chief of Staff for Mountbatten, again planted. So, a badi achhi game unhone banai, and they said, now what we do, we will use tribesmen to invade Kashmir, naturally, because Pakistan army में पहले strength नहीं थी, and they didn't want to be involved openly British because chief British थे. यहाँ पे what they said, they were looking for 2 officers. One officer, firstly, who could resign his commission. Now, for a British officer, even for Indian officer, us, sir, if somebody tells us to resign our commission, we'll say, no, why should we? And us time, mein, sir. So, they meet in Peshawar Club, Cunningham and Bacon, same Bacon who was monitoring Gilgit ka political officer, and Brown. They meet in Peshawar Club. They have a discussion. Sir, are you around? I can't see you, sir.
Yeah.
Sir? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Oh, no, thoda sa net ka problem tha. Okay. Now I'm there. I was just changing the connection.
Okay, sir. Should I continue, sir?
Okay. Yeah. Please continue.
So in Peshawar Club, these 3 gentlemen meet and they decide. Colonel Bacon tells Governor Cunningham that he is the officer who is willing to resign his commission. Because now what the scenario they wanted to create was that now that British are going away, so Gilgit Scouts will logically come under J&K Prince, ruler. So the commandant of that place, Gilgit Scouts, they wanted Brown to take over,
Yeah.
with the mission that his job is to make sure that Gilgit-Baltistan, this whole area, gets cut off and given to Pakistan, because there was no presence of Pakistanis there, no Pakistani army, nothing at all, sir.
Absolutely.
Now he's asked, are you willing to resign your commission? तो पहले वो कहता no sir ये वो, then he's given the macro picture, this is how it is our in our interest, so you resign. He says I'll do it, but I need another officer, who again posted in Tochi Scouts, Captain Matheson. So they said okay, we'll do. Now this same Bacon comes to Kashmir, and there's a resident Kashmir, British resident, he and Maharaja and Prime Minister, they sit in a meeting, and he tells them, Maharaja, now that we are leaving, my feedback is that don't send your army to Gilgit. Ek to Gilgit was very far off from Kashmir. It used to take 2 weeks to reach Gilgit, and after losing a lot of रास्ते में population भी ज़्यादा friendly नहीं थी. So they said you don't send because people are against you. They've been a couple of revolts earlier. So let Gilgit Scouts remain. We will have an officer motivated to resign commission and join your forces. So you make him commandant, let him settle down, let few years pass, send your governor, but military power let it be the British, because otherwise locals will not like it that Hindu army comes and sits there. So Maharaja said okay. So when Brigadier Gansar Singh lands up there, General Scott, who was the chief of army staff, again a British of J&K forces, he also reaches there, and he tells him that this present commandant will now continue. So now he wants to resign his commission and declare his allegiance to Maharaja Jammu and Kashmir. तो उसके सामने उसको बाइबल पे हाथ रख के गंसार सिंह, ब्रिगेडियर गंसार सिंह and General Scott standing, William Brown takes the pledge that I'll be loyal to Maharaja of Jammu and Kashmir here onwards. Later on, that thing wrapped in the paper cloth was actually Oxford Dictionary, as he writes in his memoir. So धोखा भी किया तो बड़े धर्म को ध्यान में रख के कि गलती ना हो जाए, so उसने डिक्शनरी पे रख के शपथ खा ली. So now Gansar Singh reaches there. There's nobody who's supporting him. And same time 5 Jack infantry with later on 5 Jack Reef, which was deployed from Leh till Bunji. The Bunji was in Indus के किनारे. उसके आगे आर्मी नहीं थी, because उसके आगे Gilgit agency was there. So this battalion was getting interchanged with 6 Jack Reef, that time Jack infantry. Now 6 Jack, while going from Bandipur, in anticipation of independence and partition, had raised pro-Pakistan slogans. So this was known because 50% troops were Muslims, Punchi Muslims, and 50% were Sikhs who were raw recruits. They were yet to fire. So this is a composition of battalion which landed up there. उनका जो CEO था अब्दुल माजिद, उसने कर लिया. About a month's time, there was a guy called Subedar Major Babar Khan. Now, arrangement in Gilgit Scout was, sir, कि people who belong to royal families of Gilgit, Hunja, Yasin, all these small principalities, they were made JCOs.
Yeah.
They were all JCOs. So Subedar Major Babar Khan was from one of the royal families. And Gilgit Scouts also had those sub-units like Yasin platoon and Hunza platoon and that kind. So इसने सबको काबू किया Brown ने. He put that seed in their mind. See, if Maharaja decides to go to India, you have no future, you are Muslim and he's Hindu, so we have to part our ways. In case Maharaja comes to Pakistan, is all right. Pakistan is gleefully ignorant. उनको अपनी पड़ी, उनको कुछ नहीं पता गिलगित में क्या हो रहा है. This Abdul Majid, Lieutenant Colonel Abdul Majid, he's given an order by Brigadier Gansar Singh, go and investigate who was raising his slogans. So like a good soldier, he came back, he says nothing, all okay. वो सब झूठ है, कुछ नहीं हुआ. And Gansar Singh sends a report again to Srinagar saying कि भाई वो सब ठीक है, but you give me powers, I need money, and what British have done. Now this is happening towards the end of the year, sir. By September, October, Gilgit used to be stocked for winters. So Britishers, before they were leaving, they distributed everything which was there in stores. So there was no reserve, no salt, no rations, no oil which used to come from outside. Nothing was there, and now population would have also got against Maharaja in any case, because when your essential commodities which for years Maharaja had been providing and then Britishers had been providing, those commodities had gone missing or they'd just been spent, exhausted rather. So in this scenario, the day Maharaja announced instrument of accession, 26 October when he signed, so they put their things in motion. Now Matheson had also joined. Matheson was sitting in a different post. So code word arranged for the triggering of this operation was Datta Khel. Datta Khel
Datta.
is in near Bannu.
Bam-
So this was the code word. So when this code word was given, and what the first thing they did was they went and surrounded. What Brigadier Gansar Singh did, since there was no staff, nothing, he shut down all offices. He sent a report to Srinagar saying, "I am shutting down everything. I'm just operating from my home." And in his home, he had his driver and his sahik, nobody else. So these people came and surrounded the house, uh, and six Jack Rifke officers, six Jack Rifke, CEO remained in the background. The youngsters also came and joined up, and they basically cut off the routes that Brigadier Gansar couldn't get away. So route leading to Bandipura was cut off by platoon of Jack infantry. So these guys come, they surround the house, the firing happens. So these three people are firing from inside. Then they open with MMG. So one burst, and then Brigadier Gansar Singh knew that nothing was going to happen. So he said, "Okay, I'm surrender." Then he was told, "Okay, if you surrender, you and all non-Muslims in Gilgit-Baltistan will be given protection and will be taken out and sent to India. If you keep firing, we'll kill you and then kill everybody else." So under those circumstances, he signed on the document saying, "Okay, I hand over my rule." Now Britishers again didn't want to come, so they put Subedar Major Babar Khan in front. So all the photographs you see of Brigadier Gansar Singh surrendering, you find Babar Khan with that Turla and Gilgit Scouts ki topi. So he's the one who took the surrender, got the document signed, and then now somebody had to tell Pakistan ki bhai Gilgit-Baltistan has branched off from Jammu and Kashmir. Please come and take over. Unko kuch nahi pata. But Gilgitis had their own ambition. They didn't want to join Pakistan either. Because they were Shias basically, and they have their own rules. So they created their own provincial government. But while they were doing it, the Sikh soldiers in Bunji, they were massacred, slaughtered by own troops. And people who ran away from there, sir, October means, October end means ये जो Burzil Pass है, which separates Bandipora from Gilgit, the Gurez from Gilgit, that was snowed out. Yeah, so these people came over, Uparna, there was no tree line is finished, there's no cover, nothing, only snow. So then they came back, many of them. I have a handwritten script of a person, a Sikh guy, who came back, and he was very fair and handsome. So one influential Sarpanch asked him, "Tu kaun hai wo?" He said, "I'm from a very good family. Ye hai wo." He said, "Aisa kar, you convert, you will be killed, or you convert and you marry my daughter." So he said, "Okay." So he converted, married his daughter, and this guy was rich guy. तो उसने उसको दुकान खोल के दी किराने की बुंजी में. And few years later, first opportunity, he ran away from there, came back, reached Jammu, became a Sikh again, and then died as a Sikh. But his memoirs are with me, very interesting. Somewhere I'll put it in some of the books. So this was a scene there. So finally, on 16th November, one guy comes from Pakistan, and he says, "I am the governor." And Ate, first thing he does, he tells William Brown कि तेरा काम हो गया, तू निकल ले अब. So उन्होंने उसको औकात दिखा दी अपनी कि you carry on. So William Brown, no, he went back. He went to Peshawar. He met General Cunningham. He said, "यार तू ऐसा कर, तू resign कर दे," because now he's not neither part of Maharaja's army nor part of British army. So William Brown, interestingly, sir, he resigned. Cunningham got him a job in a company in Karachi as a marketing manager, sales manager. और वो वहाँ से एक दिन कलकत्ता आया सर, few years later to do the whatever marketing. वहाँ पे few Sikh persons, they recognized that he's the guy under whom our Sikh brothers were killed in. So he was patched up, lynched, almost killed in Calcutta. बच गया सर बाद में. So then he left subcontinent and he went to this place. Now while all this was happening, sir, whatever is left of Six Jack. Now Six Jack had a platoon in Leh and a platoon in Kargil, and then a platoon in Skardu, and उसका ये बुंजी में थे. तो वहाँ पे वो कर्नल थापा थे सर, दैट टाइम मेजर शेरजंग थापा. उनको दिया गया कि यू गो एंड टेक कंट्रोल, हो जो हो गया अभी संभालो बाकी इलाका को. तो 23rd November he started from Leh on foot, and he reached Skardu on 3rd December. And वहाँ पे he realized that with his, he took about 2 platoons, and over next 2 months 2 more companies joined him. So but there was no information, there was no communication, so he knew something will happen from Gilgit side. Now Skardu is to the east of Gilgit, northeast of Gilgit, Indus के बगल में. So what he did, एक सारी करके जगह से about 30 kilometers towards Gilgit, he placed 2 platoons on either side of Indus as early warning. Now problem was there was no communication. So one DR will start in the morning, reach Skardu, okay report, then go back. When he's going back, another guy is starting from there. So the two guys used to do this. So one day Chitral scouts, led by the son of ruler of Chitral, they reached Sari. The platoon on the right bank was a Muslim platoon being commanded by a Muslim officer, and left was a Sikh platoon, mixed Dogra platoon commanded by a Sikh officer. So they come, they first go and have khana with the Muslim platoon, then they cross over, and then slaughter this. And then they send the dispatch rider, the walking guy, to Skardu to tell him that everything is all right. Now this messenger is coming from Skardu to Skardu saying everything is all right, and behind him is Babar Khan and all these guys. And now from December till July of next year, Skardu की कहानी अल्लाह कैसे किसी और दिन करेंगे.
Yeah. Yes, I was about to say.
It is under siege and abandoned by our top hierarchy. It had a airport जहाँ पे Chinese airport है sir.
Correct.
That airfield was existing and
Yeah.
not even a single jahaj was sent. It was sent only once and it dropped supply somewhere. Okay, आगे पीछे गिर गई.
Absolutely.
So that is another sad story, and this is how this area of Gilgit-Baltistan went over to Pakistan. But उसके बाद एक और interesting चीज हुई, एक और character आता है sir. It's like a movie sir. Colonel Pasha. Now, Colonel Pasha was actually not a colonel. He was Major Aslam. He's the first Pakistani officer who reaches Gilgit-Baltistan, appointed by GHQ, not by himself. ये Pasha कौन है sir? ये Aslam Khan कौन है? His brother was Asghar Khan, who became chief of Army's Air Staff Pakistan later.
Yes, stuff. Yeah.
His brother. There were 6 brothers. His father was Brigadier Hamidullah, part of J&K forces. This Aslam Khan was also part of J&K forces. He had earned a military cross in World War II as part of same battalion 4 Jack, which was deployed in Muzaffarabad, जिसके Muslim company ने cheat किया था and treachery की थी. So since he had won a military cross, so there was a provision in British Army that anybody who does very well during war could switch over from a princely state army to regular army. So he had switched over to British. लेकिन वो स्विच ओवर के टाइम पे वो जम्मू में जब पोस्टेड था, ही वाज बीएम ऑफ ब्रिगेड हियर सर. इसने यहाँ एक सेल बनाया था, एंटी महाराजा सेल, एंटी फैसिस्ट सेल, अंडरग्राउंड. तो वो तो निकल गया सर. हिज फादर वाज आल्सो इन्वॉल्वड. सो 47 में हिज फादर वाज अरेस्टेड बाय महाराजा फॉर ट्रीजन. नाउ फादर इज इन जेल, सन इज इन ब्रिटिश आर्मी, एंड ही हैड ऑप्टेड फॉर पाकिस्तानी आर्मी. छुट्टी जा रहा था सर, and he reaches Abbottabad on 21st of October. He finds a lot of force there, and Major Khurshid, who was leading people into Kashmir. So Khurshid was ex-ASC officer, तो he senior था उससे. उसने बोला सर आप किधर? बोला हम कश्मीर फतह करने जा रहे हैं. तो this guy leaves his bedding there and he joins invasion of Kashmir. बारामूला में पहुंच के जब वो देखता है ना सर कि आगे पटन में कुछ हेडवे नहीं हो रहा और यहाँ पे रेप और वो सब हो रहा है, तो he got disgusted. He went back, and then he went back to GHQ and told people कि my father is from J&K forces. Once upon a time I was posted in Gilgit, so we know this area very well. मेरे को आप गिलगित का कमांडर बना के भेजो. तो उसको कोड नेम दिया गया पाशा. Why I'm mentioning this sir? When he reached there, he told that governor who had been sent by Pakistan कि भैया अपना काम चुपचाप करो, don't interfere with our activities. So he reorganized Gilgit Scouts into 3 wings: Tiger, Eskimo, and one more sir, Ibex. And then he made this plan where under him Gilgit Scouts came and finally captured Kargil, Dras. They reached within 6 kilometers of Leh, Nimu, जहाँ पे RT Brigade headquarter था sir. And they also reached, almost reached, they crossed Turtuk के अंदर आ गए थे. So this guy was a guy who actually sent these people, and one day he reaches Zanskar. Look at this man sir, he reaches Zanskar. वहां से he sends a message to GHQ Pakistan, tomorrow I'm invading Himachal Pradesh. Because Zanskar के. तो वहां पे जनरल ग्रेसी said भैया this war is supposed to be limited only to J&K, जो पाकिस्तान का पुराना फेवरेट सिस्टम है. It should not spill over to Himachal Pradesh. He was recalled from there. So these were the characters who were playing different games that time. But the bottom line is it was a purely British plan, executed also by British, unlike Kashmir, जहाँ पे काम पाकिस्तानियों ने किया था. And they took it away. And जो provincial government गिलगिती ने बनाई थी सर, they said we want our own self rule, उसको तोड़ ताड़ दिया था when Pasha came. And after Pasha's arrival in December 47, Gilgit actually became part of Pakistan when the officer फौजी भी उनका अपना, troops भी उनके अपने. because Gilgit Scouts had no love for Pakistan, sir. By the way, they wanted to be independent. Gilgitis and Gilgit Scouts, but this guy
Yes.
came and he उसने कर दिया. तो ये गिलगित की
Very
टाइम
nice. Excellent. No, 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 man. एक इसमें somewhere I had read two issues. In fact, I'll say one was that the Britishers decided to take Gilgit on lease, जबकि रशियन ने कोई expedition पामिर के आसपास उन्होंने it was sighted. So that is the time they became this thing that why a expedition has been sent to Pamir knots.
सर उनका एक कैप्टन था सरोस्की.
हाँ,
He
yeah,
used to come with six. He used to come with 6 riders. That's the only force.
Correct.
और उसका ब्रिटिश के हर डॉक्यूमेंट आपको नाम मिलेगा. You will read कि वो महाराजा प्रताप सिंह के साथ दोस्ती कर रहा था.
हाँ.
आज वो हुंजा में मिला.
Correct.
So while he was there, of course he was there, sir. And I believe he also had once he had drinks with Colonel Bacon. Let's have a vodka. So it's not an expedition. It was just a small team moving around.
Okay.
Six
But yes,
riders.
what I read was that this basically that suspicion बढ़ गया ना कि why they've come up to this place when the decision was to remain up to the Persian area. So why they?
Yes, sir.
Of course, they had made forays into Afghanistan also. The Russians had made forays into Afghanistan also. So that was also okay. Now, another very small thing that I wanted to ask you was that Maharaja force में जो that Captain Hassan Khan, Mirza Hassan Khan, he had at one stage declared it as an Islamic state and he wanted to be an independent kingdom by itself. He had no love lost, but like you said, that his boss was Major Brown. So he is the one who actually took it to Pakistan. Otherwise, वो तो खुद को अपना field marshal declare करके he was sitting there prettily saying that I am going to create an Islamic state of Gilgit.
कर दिया था सर उसने. That Babar Khan had become the defense minister. वो कर
Yeah,
दिया था
he had
उन्होंने.
become correct.
And Brown को उन्होंने बोला you shut up, carry on.
Yes.
So Brown went running to Peshawar. He was told no, you go back, we'll take care. क्या पाकिस्तानी गवर्नर आ गया. He also told us, and then Pasha came. उसने पूरी story खत्म कर दी. The reason they sent Pasha and by the way, sir, when Pasha came, he wanted to organize this expedition into Kargil, Dras, Leh, and Nubra. तो उसका जो सामान था ना सर, it was purchased from his own funds, winter clothing, and his brother Asghar Khan, who was a pilot in Pakistan, he actually dropped those supplies without any sanction.
Okay.
So वो अलग कहानी है सर इनकी. वो उस टाइम तो I think मेला था.
Everybody wanted to be an independent kingdom की, you know. And especially अगर अब आप J&K का मैप देखें तो एक सक्सगाम वैली है, एक अक्षय चिन्ह है, एक पाकिस्तान ऑक्युपाइड J&K है, एक गिलगिट बल्टिस्तान का अलग एरिया है. So वो पूरा का पूरा बट गया and everybody had ambition of their own.
आज भी सर गिलगित is, by the way, the officer you named and other 6 JACA officers who were all very happy that time. Yeah. They rose to, like Aslam became retired as a brigadier, others became colonels, and then they're the people who raised flag against Pakistan after retirement.
Yes.
For neglect of
I was about to say that. Yes. Correct.
This also happens.
Okay. So basically, it was his own troops, Maharaja के जिन्होंने they stabbed him in the back.
गिलगित स्काउट्स तो अंग्रेजों की पैदावार थी, बट हाँ उनको तनख्वाह तो यहीं से मिलती थी पहले.
तनख्वाह तो इधर से मिलती थी.
1935 से पहले they were
महाराजा.
Yes.
चाहे हम रेडर्स की बात कर लें, चाहे इधर कर लें. ओके. अभी थोड़ा सा आगे we will go ahead and I'll ask you, एक सक्सगम वैली के बारे में काफी हमारे व्यूअर्स जो हैं वो उन्होंने सवाल पूछा है. ये सक्सगम वैली 1963 में, जैसे कि आपने पिछली बार यू हैड सेड, 63 में सडनली पाकिस्तान डिसाइडेड कि मैं सक्सगम वैली को चाइना के साथ इनका एक अंडरस्टैंडिंग होता है और सक्सगम वैली को चाइना को दे दिया जाता है. वेरी ब्रीफली, इसमें पाकिस्तान का स्ट्रेटेजिक इंटरेस्ट क्या था और चाइना का मोर इम्पोर्टेंटली चाइना का स्ट्रेटेजिक इंटरेस्ट क्या था सक्सगम वैली को एक्सीड करने का?
सर पाकिस्तान का तो बड़ा कश्मीर सेंट्रिक इंटरेस्ट था. उनका तो दे कांट थिंक बियॉन्ड कश्मीर. तो क्या हो रहा था 1960s तक, China had openly declared as part of Panchshil agreement that Kashmir belongs to India. If you look at those documents 60 and before that, despite 59 में LAC declare कर दी, northeast eastern Ladakh का part claim करना शुरू कर दिया, all that thing happened, but they maintained this and they maintained till May of 1962. 1962 May में first time China had said, yes, we agree, Kashmir is part of India, but with certain conditions.
Yeah.
So पाकिस्तान का इंटरेस्ट ये था कि भाई कश्मीर के ऊपर वी नीड प्रोटेक्शन. तो हाउ दे प्लेड द गेम सर, इफ यू लुक एट दिस मैप, ये जो शख्सगाम यहाँ लिखा है ना सर, ये जो लाइन जा रही है, दिस इज बेसिकली गोइंग अलोंग कराकोरम, बाद में सैचिन के नीचे आता है. तो कराकोरम पास के पीछे कुनलुन एक पहाड़ों वाला भी है ना, जिसकी पहले वाली स्लाइड है सर, माउंटेन रेंज का
पिक्चर
सर. इससे पहले कि इसके बाद होगा सर, इसके बाद नेक्स्ट सर. Yeah. So you see the Kunlun range.
Yeah.
This Kunlun range has been the historic boundary between Jammu and Kashmir and areas to the north, Xinjiang earlier, later on part of China. अभी हुंजा जो था सर, which is the north of Gilgit, हुंजा का जो मीर था, he had once upon a time gone into Xinjiang to help the ruler there because झारखंड में एक रिवोल्ट हो गया था. This had happened in 18th century. So जिनगियांग के रूलर ने खुश होके उसको एक जागीर दी थी जिनगियांग के अंदर कि छुट्टियां बिताने के लिए तू यहाँ आया कर, बेटर प्लेस. So that affiliation was there. So when China moved into Xinjiang in 1949, so the China ने बोला कि तू मेरे को ट्रिब्यूट दे और you accept my sovereignty. So वो बात चल रही थी. So now when 1962 war happened and India got kind of a bloodied nose there in 1962, we all know. पाकिस्तान के थोड़े रोंगटे खड़े हुए. They knew कि firstly they couldn't fight China. Now they wanted to make best of the situation. तो उन्होंने ये कहा, announcement की publicly, कि चाइना हुंजा में क्लेम करता है और शख्सगाम में क्लेम करता है. तो we are now going for settlement. So Hunja is going to come with us and उसके भी हम सेटल हो रहा. बट एक्चुअल कहानी क्या थी सर, कुनलुन रेंज के ऊपर बाउंड्री थी, वाटरशेड था. ईस्ट ऑफ कराकोरम वाज शाहदुल्ला पोस्ट, जो महाराजा रणबीर सिंह और महाराजा हरि सिंह के टाइम पे मैंड थी. पंडित नेहरू ने स्पेशल ऑर्डर देकर उसको विड्रॉ किया था 47 के बाद. उसके विड्रॉ होने के बाद ये सैचिन का हाईवे बना. तो शाहदुल्ला पोस्ट के, क्योंकि इंडिया वाज क्लेमिंग अर्लियर एंड जॉनसन लाइन जो सर्वे की गई थी महाराजा रणबीर सिंह, जिसके ऊपर हमारा एलएसी का क्लेम बेस्ड है, दैट रन्स फ्रॉम शाहदुल्ला डाउनवर्ड्स. नाउ उसके आगे कुनलुन है. चाइनीज नाउ दे हैड कम इनटू इंडियन टेरिटरी दिस साइड, दे हैड क्रिएटेड सैचिन हाईवे एंड वो पूरा सैचिन खा गए थे. सो दे वांटेड टू क्रिएट अ न्यू परसेप्शन ऑफ बाउंड्री. उसको सपोर्ट करने के लिए दे वांटेड टू कम साउथ ऑफ कुनलुन रेंज इवन टू द वेस्ट ऑफ कराकोरम रेंज. ईस्ट में तो उन्होंने शाहदुल्ला को कर लिया काबू. अब वेस्ट में क्या था सर, व्हेन यू ट्रेवल फ्रॉम कराकोरम अपना के पास, यू स्टार्ट गोइंग टुवर्ड्स गिलगित दैट टाइम. तो पहले के पास आता है, फिर शख्सगम वैली आती है सर, फिर एक मारपो करके एरिया आता है, देन यू हैव शख्सगम रिवर को क्रॉस करके बेसिकली यू एंटर द वाटरशेड, जिसमें खुंजरे पास आता है सर, किलिक पास आता है. सो दिस इज अलाइनमेंट, दिस वाज द हिस्टोरिक अलाइनमेंट. सो टू जस्टिफाई देयर इंट्रूजन इनटू इंडिया टू द ईस्ट ऑफ कराकोरम, नाउ दे वांटेड टू डू समथिंग टू द वेस्ट ऑफ कराकोरम, ताकि देखने में लगे हाँ ये एक ही लाइन है. नाउ इट इज फॉलोइंग वैलीज एंड नॉट द वाटरशेड. सो उधर झारखंड का वाटरशेड था सर, यहाँ हुंजा रिवर का वाटरशेड था, तो वो उसके नीचे आके हुंजा रिवर के वाटरशेड में आ गया. But surprising thing, there few people say Sakhsgam Valley was taken by China because fresh water reserves हैं and वो चिप बनाने में बड़ा काम आएगा. चिप की तो बात सर काफ़ी बाद में आई है, चिप तो अभी की बात है. प्रॉब्लम ये थी कि जैसे ही चाइना ने वो ट्रीटी साइन की जिसमें लिखा गया आर्टिकल 6 में कि आज हम ट्रीटी कर रहे हैं, लेकिन अगर कल को इंडिया और पाकिस्तान के बीच में कश्मीर रिजॉल्व होता है तो
it will be redone.
So Bhutto, who was a foreign minister, he came back to Pakistani parliament. He made a statement that today, by signing this treaty, China is part of Kashmir dispute. Any resolution happening in Kashmir, over Kashmir between India and China will now also include China. India and Pakistan will also include China. Correct. So China को उन्होंने उसके अंदर खींच लिया. China को तो जगह चाहिए थी as it is, और China and they had their own ambitions. So ये तो सबसे बड़ा strategic इसमें जो issue ये है कि आज की डेट में कोई भी रेजोल्यूशन होती है और लाइक इंडिया वॉक्स इनटू सो कॉल्ड POJB, तो चाइना विल गेट इन्वॉल्वड एज अ पार्टी बिकॉज उसके अभी एसेट्स हैं उसके अंदर. सो चाइना की तरफ से इट वाज कॉलोनाइजिंग पाकिस्तान इन अ वे, पाकिस्तान की तरफ से इट वाज अ ट्रेड ऑफ टू सिक्योर कश्मीर. आई मीन उसने बोला कि कोई भी डिस्प्यूट होगा, दिस इज अ स्टेटमेंट, ऑफिशियल स्टेटमेंट भुट्टो.
You involving China also into the bilateral dispute between India and China, so you have involved a third party now.
थर्ड पार्टी, और उसमें क्या लिखता है?
Third party also of such a thing which has got a veto power in the UN.
UN. And then he goes on to mention same statement that in case India tries some stunt tomorrow, India will have to face the biggest nation in the continent.
Correct.
So this was the trade-off, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Col Ajay, there are few more questions, but I will now stop. एक क्वेश्चन मैं और पूछता हूँ. We'll come to the present situation. Then there are few questions which some of the viewers have also asked, so I will combine that. So थोड़ा सा sequence आगे पीछे हो रहा है. But tell me, let's come down to present day. Now, Nawaz Sharif is back in Pakistan. We've had a case of Kargil when he was the Prime Minister and Musharraf was the Chief of Army Staff. Now, Sharif is talking about, कि हिंदुस्तान के साथ let's do a treaty and आराम से
पड़ोसियों से दोस्ती.
क्या देखते हैं फ्यूचर?
सर मुझे 3 एंगल नजर आते हैं. अब उसमें कितने सही है तो टाइम ही बताएगा. पहला तो ये है सर कि पाकिस्तानी आर्मी जो कि वी ऑल नो जो कंट्रोल्स अफेयर्स इन पाकिस्तान, दे वांटेड अ अल्टरनेटिव टू इमरान खान, ए पंजाबी फेस. इमरान खान आज की असेसमेंट ये है सर, वो जेल में है, उसके मिनिस्टर सब भाग गए, बट अगर आज फ्री एंड फेयर इलेक्शंस होते हैं तो इमरान खान में स्टिल विन, जो कि फ्री एंड फेयर होंगे नहीं. नाउ दे वांटेड अ पंजाबी फेस एंड दे आल्सो वांटेड अ गाय हु हैड लॉट ऑफ चार्जेस अगेंस्ट हिम, जिसको वो ट्विस्ट कर सके बड़े प्यार से. बिकॉज नवाज शरीफ ने पहले भी थोड़ा मुंह खोला था आर्मी के खिलाफ, इमरान खान ने भी खोला है. बिटवीन टू दे पिकिंग अप ए पंजाबी विद कश्मीरी कनेक्शन. नवाज शरीफ का कोई माँ की तरफ से कश्मीर से कनेक्शन भी है, कभी वो कश्मीरी बन जाता है, कभी पंजाबी बन जाता है. दिस इज वन एंगल सर. सेकंड इज यूएस एंगल सर. अगर आपने देखा होगा जो यूएस एम्बेसडर गिलगित बल्तिस्तान में गया था, एंड देन वी स्पोक अबाउट इट आई थिंक लास्ट टाइम. सो एक एंगल ये भी है कि पाकिस्तान को दोबारा बचा रहा है यूएसए, बचा रहा है बाई हेल्पिंग इट, बाई पेइंग मनी विच पाकिस्तान नीड्स, एंड ऑल्सो ट्राइंग टू पुल हिम आउट ऑफ ग्रिप ऑफ चाइना. सो उससे क्या होगा, वो जो एक्सिस बन रहा था सर रशिया, चाइना, पाकिस्तान, ईरान, उसके अंदर एक ना हर्डल खड़ी कर दी. इफ चाइना इफ पाकिस्तान कम्स बैक टू यूएस फोल्ड ऑफिशियली और अनऑफिशियली, फिर वो पाकिस्तान को इंडिया के खिलाफ भी यूज कर सकता है. बिकॉज वो जो इंडिया से चाहता है, इंडिया वो पूरा कर नहीं रहा. क्वाड में है तो नहीं है.
बना तो पाकिस्तान उसी पर्पस के लिए था, चाहे वो गिलगिट बाल्टिस्तान को, मतलब वो तो बिल्कुल प्लेट में रख के सर्व कर दिया गया. गिलगिट बाल्टिस्तान आपने जिस तरह से समझाया तो उसको और स्ट्रेंथन करता चला गया. यूएसए कभी छोड़ेगा नहीं पाकिस्तान को, वो कुछ भी करेगा, पाकिस्तान कुछ भी है, बिकॉज उसके पास इंडिया है और उसके पास चाइना है, और पाकिस्तान तो किसी भी तरफ किसी भी टाइम पर लुढ़क सकता है.
तो दैट्स व्हाई आई सेड वो ग्रेट गेम खत्म नहीं हुई है सर, ग्रेट गेम इज कंटिन्यूइंग. एंड थर्ड एंगल इज चाइना एंड रशिया सर. एक हाइपोथेटिकल सिचुएशन है सर. अगर रशिया, मतलब इट कुड मे नॉट बी एक्चुअली, इट मे नॉट बी एक्चुअली, बट इफ रशिया टुडे मेक्स इंडिया एंड चाइना सिट इन अ थर्ड कंट्री एंड टॉक, एंड देयर इज एग्रीमेंट कि जब ताइवान में चाइना घुसेगा इंडिया विल नॉट रिएक्ट, और जब इंडिया कुछ पीओजेके का कुछ पोर्शन ऊपर वाला कुछ करना चाहेगा वुहान कॉरिडोर में, तो ये रिएक्ट ना करे. इफ दैट इज अंडरस्टैंडिंग, बिकॉज आज पाकिस्तान बिक चुका है सर. पाकिस्तान की जो आर्मी है वो दे नो कि पाकिस्तान इज डेड. When you have financial crisis, you have political, you have TTP की problem, you have हर किसी की problem सर, और borders are insecure. उसमें ये फायदा होगा, एक तो CPEC का जो मर गया CPEC, और नवाज शरीफ by the way was a person who had signed the agreement for CPEC. So इमरान खान ने CPEC को नाली में डाला. चाइनीज $40 billion की इन्वेस्टमेंट को बचाने का एक तरीका ये है कि यू हैव ए प्रो चाइनीज प्राइम मिनिस्टर कॉल्ड नवाज शरीफ. एंड कल को ऐसा कुछ सेटिंग हो जाती है सर, वेयर सम टेरिटरी कम्स बैक टू इंडिया, तो पाकिस्तान आर्मी विल नॉट बी ब्लेम्ड, इट विल बी नवाज शरीफ ऑन टॉप like Kargil. So this is hypothetical, but US angle I am very sure it is happening. And कुछ नहीं है सर, कुछ होने वाला कुछ नहीं होगा, वही जो आर्मी चाहेगी. They are basically covering their own ends. देखते हैं सर क्या होगा. It's too early.
I had another question which is now we got it from Jal Dushan, so I will take on that question.
Sure.
He's saying Gilgit-Baltistan saw a spate of protest over religious matters. और शिया सुन्नी का आपने टच किया था. We've had very serious issues in Gilgit-Baltistan. In addition, people are facing serious economic troubles. सब कुछ electricity यहाँ से produce हो रही है, and they are not being treated properly. Do you see these trouble faring up into major trouble for Pakistan? will Gilgit-Baltistan separate from Pak? What are your views?
Sir, good evening to you. You've been a very kind listener always. सर प्रॉब्लम ये है कि रिलीजियस प्रॉब्लम हुआ एंड अमेरिकन एम्बेसडर गया तो देयर वाज सम रीजन दैट थिंग इज एक्चुअली डाइड डाउन कंप्रोमाइज हो गया व्हाट वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड इज कि गिलगित विच वाज वंस अपॉन अ टाइम प्योर शिया बेल्ट is now 60-40. So they have resettled Sunnis and now Sunnis are all over Gilgit-Baltistan. Gilgit-Baltistan demography has undergone change. The problem is that शिया सुन्नी का जो भी चार्जेस थे दे वन हैड स्पोकन अगेंस्ट प्रॉफिट और समथिंग वो अभी एज ऑफ नाउ दैट थिंग इज कल्ड डाउन बट नेग्लेक्ट ऑफ गिलगित बल्तिस्तान इज समथिंग व्हिच पीपल हैव बीन प्रोटेस्टिंग अगेंस्ट पाकिस्तान दे हैड नो प्रेजेंटेशन इन देयर पॉलिटिकल पावर पार्लियामेंट एंड कुछ नहीं हुआ सो दैट डिससैटिस्फैक्शन रिमेन्स नाउ विल इट फ्लेयर अप प्रॉब्लम ये है सर कि इनका कनेक्ट नहीं है जो तब भी नहीं था आज भी नहीं था 47 में दे हैड नो कनेक्शन विद पश्तून्स एंड पीपल अभी जो गिलगित बल्तिस्तान में जो लड़ाई होगी उनको अपने आप लड़नी है सर उनकी सपोर्ट करने वाला कोई नहीं है देयर इज नो अदर कम्युनिटी अनलाइक पाकिस्तान लाइक पश्तून्स एंड बलूच आर हगिंग ईच अदर सिंधु देश आर्मी इज आल्सो जॉइनिंग दैट इनके पास कुछ नहीं है सो बट अगेंस्ट देम स्टैंड्स पाकिस्तान एंड चाइना बिकॉज चाइना नाउ हैज लॉट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट देयर वेदर चाइना विल सेंड बोट्स ऑन ग्राउंड व्हिच इज डिबेटेबल मे नॉट सेंड सो इतना बड़ा फ्लेयर अप कर नहीं पाएंगे गिवन ऑप्शन दे विल लाइक टू बी इंडिपेंडेंट इसमें अभी गिलगित बल्तिस्तान शुरू से कहता है सर 47 में दे वांटेड टू बी सेपरेट फ्रॉम पाकिस्तान इवन टुडे दैट एम्बिशन रिमेन्स विल दे सक्सीड दैट इज डिबेटेबल बिकॉज दे आर पावरलेस पीपल शिया सर वैसे भी आउट ऑफ दीज टू कम्युनिटीज एक तो उनका ये फ्लेयर अप हो गया जो थोड़ी बहुत यूनिटी थी खत्म होगी उनकी प्रॉब्लम्स दो तीन है एक प्रॉब्लम ये है कि बाहर वाले आके बस गए सुन्नीज आके बस गए दूसरा चाइनीज अंदर से दे आर क्रिएटिंग इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर विदाउट एनी this thing and neglect by Pakistan but to help them there is nobody and while Indian angle comes up in Balochistan और उसमें इसमें कोई बात नहीं करता कि they are saying कि कारगिल का रास्ता खोल दो हमने कभी कहा नहीं कि गिलगित बल्तिस्तान वालों को हमारे साथ आ जाओ so one can't really predict but थोड़ा सा उनका situation is not that good that they can create that kind of a problem for Pakistan.
Okay, we go on to the next question. In fact, there are a lot of comments appreciating your knowledge and your patience and the way you are explaining. So since we are already running short of time, and I will take maybe this question. People are talking about taking back Gilgit-Baltistan. There are a lot of questions on that. If you can comment on that.
Sir, POJK, I think we spoken we should not take back this part of POJK जो पुंछ के सामने है जिहादी माइंडसेट है गिलगित बल्तिस्तान का एक फायदा है सर अगर मिल जाता है अपने आप तो हमारे पास एक ना वखान कॉरिडोर पहुंचने का बड़ा अच्छा रास्ता बन जाएगा बड़ी सड़कें बनानी पड़ेंगी बट देन वी आर फ्री ऑफ दिस पाकिस्तान ब्लैकमेल एंड वी विल बी देयर ले पाएंगे कि नहीं ले पाएंगे अपने आप आएगा अपने आप आने का है एक भी थॉट प्रोसेस ये भी था सर कि अफगानिस्तान बीइंग अफगानिस्तान इंडिया शुड कीप गिलगित बल्तिस्तान एज ए बफर there is a thought process my counter to that is that you buffer is a state which is powerful enough to act like a buffer
yes
अब गिलगित बल्तिस्तान has no protection you remove Pakistani army from there तो वो खा जाएंगे अफगानी ऑलरेडी चित्राल में घुस गए हैं सर बिकॉज नाउ चित्राल इज नॉट सेपरेट फ्रॉम गिलगित बल्तिस्तान नाउ दैट होल एरिया इज नॉर्दर्न प्रोविंस so if it falls and gets cut off because of turmoil in Pakistan then India should step in sir without fighting and take it over and create a corridor and maybe सुन्नीज जो पाकिस्तानीज को वापस भेज के जो ओरिजिनल इनकी पॉपुलेशन है आई थिंक वी कैन लिव विद देम अनलाइक रावलाकोट बाग मीरपुर इस इलाके को तो यू कांट इवन लुक एट दोज पीपल मुजफ्फराबाद ऑल जिहादीज bad for us.
What about this lure of making Gilgit-Baltistan as the fifth province of Pakistan?
Sir, वो तो उनको whether you make it fifth or sixth, unless until they are given the powers like we given to our Jammu and Kashmir, है ना sir? They are totally neglected, sir. Politically they are neglected. Facilities are zero. And वहाँ का जो I believe there are a lot of mines which are available in that part of the world which not been exploited. कल को अगर वो करेगा भी तो वो बलूचिस्तान की तरह उनको फायदा फिर कुछ नहीं होने वाला वहाँ से माइनिंग करके निकल जाएंगे तो उसको फिफ्थ प्रोविंस बनाएं कुछ बनाएं ऑल स्टेट में देयर नथिंग बीन डन
बट कल अजय वो कहते हैं ना कि पाकिस्तान का मतलब सिर्फ पंजाबी मुसलमान है
यस यस
उसके सिवा उनको किसी के साथ कोई लव लॉस नहीं है
बिल्कुल नहीं
एंड दे वांट टू डोमिनेट एवरीवेयर चाहे वो पॉपुलेशन हो चाहे वो इलीट हो चाहे वो एग्रीकल्चर है इंडस्ट्रीज हैं पॉलिटिक्स है army है, it's only Punjabi Muslim who are.
और सर वो एक पॉइंट में आई जस्ट वांट टू से कि यू हैव नोटिस कि चाइना वाले अभी सीपेक का एक अल्टरनेट बना रहे हैं वाया अफगानिस्तान, टॉक्स आर ऑन.
Yes, talks
So
are
that
on.
also takes us to the point कि US is meddling here now
Yeah.
In Pakistan. And
So yeah, it is quite possible that Pakistan, actually if you really look at it, things are so bad there कि मेरे को नहीं लगता कि चाइना की जो 60 billion 2017 का जो उनका है investment, that they are going to, yes, with Nawaz Sharif coming back and China helping, you never know, actually anything can happen, but as of now it's Pakistan is probably not
Pakistan
up
is
to
sell to highest bidder, sir. Or China
Yes.
can't be highest bidder. China invest only to recover. They'll take
Yeah,
a territory. US can throw you. उनको तो डॉलर छाप के फेंकने हैं, sir. They can print as many and throw it.
Correct. Thank you, Col Ajay. It was a wonderful episode, and I have gained. And in fact, when I started the conversation, और जब मैंने आपकी किताब पढ़ी उससे पहले एक्चुअली आई वाज फीलिंग वेरी बैड कि यार मेरे को खुद की कंट्री का जो पार्ट है उसकी ठीक से हिस्ट्री भी नहीं पता है. एंड आई समहाउ आई वाज थिंकिंग दैट दिस इज व्हाट हैज हैपेंड. एंड शायद मैंने पाकिस्तानी ऑथर्स की किताब ज्यादा पढ़ी या हमारे यहाँ कोई ऐसी किताब थी नहीं जिसके बारे में. I read a very recent book on human right violation by Alok Bansal. I found that book also to be a very interesting book. In addition to what I mentioned about your book, it was an eye opener. I never thought. In fact, बहुत सी बार तो ये भी नहीं पता था कि J&K में जो हम पाक ऑक्युपाइड कश्मीर कहते हैं जहां पर रेडर्स आए, यहाँ तो ना कोई रेडर आया ना पाकिस्तान को कुछ पता चला. और वो लाइक आई हैड सेड अर्लियर, वो उसको एक अच्छे से थाल के ऊपर प्लेट के ऊपर सजा के उसको दे दिया गया. And today you see, and Gilgit-Baltistan has tremendous potential. I mean, economically, अगर Gilgit-Baltistan ना होता तो शायद चीन के साथ पाकिस्तान की दोस्ती ना होती.
जुड़ना ही नहीं था ना सर. देखो
कुछ था ही नहीं.
है ही नहीं, कॉन्टिग्यूटी नहीं है.
कंटिन्यूटी नहीं है. तो और अगर ये हमारे पास होता तो शायद जो तिब्बत में हो रहा है या उसके अलावा जो सिंचियांग में हो रहा है, हमारा इन्फ्लुएंस सिंचियांग के सुन्नी मुसलमानों के साथ और तिब्बतियन के साथ हम लोगों का डायरेक्ट कांटेक्ट रहता. और एक तरह से हमारे को ये जियोपॉलिटिकल जियो स्ट्रेटेजिक एडवांटेज रहती वहां पर. तो बट लाइक दे से देयर आर लॉट ऑफ इफ्स एंड बट्स एंड हिस्ट्री इज ऑलवेज मेड ऑफ दैट कि अगर ये ना होता तो ऐसा होता. Col Ajay, thank you very much for an excellent thing. And viewers, I'm sorry I can't take all the questions because we already run short of time. And I'll request everybody to comment and tell us that what subjects you want. Please write it in our comment column. Col Ajay, I'm sure next time when we get in touch and you are free and you have time, we will do yet another incident correction episodes, and we will get the incidents which are not known, जो आम तौर पे लोगों को नहीं पता है, उसके बारे में हम बात करेंगे. एंड थैंक यू वेरी मच Col Ajay. And viewers, please like, subscribe and comment. Tell us what subjects you want. In addition to this subject, any other subject, we will try and get the best of the speakers, people who know. And like Col Ajay has got an in-depth knowledge on this. And we will not leave you, Col Ajay, till such time we take out every bit of information that you have gathered over a period of time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. It's been a privilege, sir.
Thank you. Bye-bye.